There we go. We are online. Just making sure that I'm able to. There we go. Okay, we are muting myself. Just let me know if I'm audible, visible for you. I'm opening up the chat room now. Visible. Happy Diwali there. Oh, right. So we are on the day 20 of unlocking EQ brand skills for busy moms. And we have been um, venturing into emotional intelligence via brain skills. Like how do we activate left brain and right brain? So it'll allow us to become emotionally intelligent because everything is data and the brain is processing data. Even emotions are data. Through emotions, our behaviors are driven. And emotionally intelligent is primarily how emotion drives our decision making or relationship or something big in our life, our noble goal and purpose. But without having a blend of logic in it, it'll only go one-sided. And it's the other way around also. If you have been led by emotions all the time, then the foundation is not stable. So essentially, emotionally intelligent meaning you're operating in the midbrain. That is neither to this side is right side to me, so neither too emotionally driven. This side is logic, so neither too nor too logically driven. So there has to be a blend of both logic and emotion. And that is essentially what is called emotionally intelligent. So having said this, if you've been watching my previous episodes, it'll be good for you to connect the dots. And by now, you will strategically know whenever I tell you some strategies right now, you will know which side of the brain you're activating. Okay. If you have been a consistent listener on the podcast, you would essentially get this same topic in a very concrete manner. But we will go directly into strategies in the podcast after explaining the concept. But in YouTube Live, if you have not yet subscribed, please do subscribe. We will go deeper and wider because we will use presentation, case studies, in order to make that concept, get deeper. So the format is very simple. We'll give a definition. We'll get into pros and cons and actionable steps, and also to know where you can apply this and what approach can you take. Actionable steps are basically how do you approach. And the last part is case study because that is more interesting to know that how successful people are able to use the same skill. And if somebody is else using and it is helping them, might as well help us also. Depending on your profile, depending on your family values, you're going to pick that up. And the strategies are very simple. It'll align you to left brain and right brain. The entire series is to give you awareness. Make sure this awareness is applied. And the last part of the section, if you stay till the last section of this episode, you will find it more interesting because that's where we will give you rewards and freebies where you can instantly put all this learning into application. Okay. All right. So I'll open up today's presentation and we'll see what's there for us. Super. So we are talking about um, proactive skills. Today, we're going to deep dive into proactive skills. Um, Being proactive is an element for you to become smart decision maker. Okay. Now, initially we started to see how resilient are you logically, emotionally, and how resilient are you as a parent, as an entrepreneur, as a leader. And then we dwelled into emotional insight, emotional agility, which will help you to be, resilient and bounce back like a pro. So, and then we dwelled into critical thinking, problem solving. And for you to become a problem solver, what are the components? That's when we went into critical thinking as a parent, as a leader, as an entrepreneur. Now we are venturing into proactiveness, okay, which is an element, which is again a critical element for you to take a smarter choices in life. Okay. Now, how does proactiveness play in our roles like busy moms, be a parent or a homemaker or a leader outside, managing a team of people or community-led initiatives? Now, how proactiveness as a skill is going to help us, and how essentially the brain is responding to becoming proactive. Now, you need to understand the overall idea to be proactive. Why do we need this? Suppose you're tired of just impulsively reacting, right? Because maybe there is a lack of planning. So we'll get into all that, the missing elements. But somewhere your choices are getting, you know, it's on a day-to-day basis, and a lot of firefighting is happening. You're not able to think through, right? That is where you'd react impulsively. What if you manage to tackle them? What if you're able to plan ahead? What if you have the capacity to stay ahead in the curve, like, highly competitive? Everywhere is FOMO, right? Fear of missing out something. And what if you step up in your future with all this empowering skill set? That is the whole point, right? Because you need when you have a kid, you will obviously kick in with those skills. As a parent, it is very natural that we all practice this. That is why in my series I always say emotional intelligence is not something rocket science, and definitely it is not a fresh research driven inputs. It is all in us. The wisdom is already in us. It is up to us as to how we are making use of it and how we are tapping that, um, what do you call, that capacity in us, that power in us. And it's not that we we don't have to. Of course, our experience is limited, and that is why we look upon somebody, and that is why there is a case study. But there are real time examples around us itself, our own people in the family, teachers, friends, uncle, aunties around us, neighbors, a lot of inspiring leaders within the company. We can learn to understand how they have been using this left brain and right brain skills, which part of their brain is actually working. You don't have to become a scientist. You just have to note how they are approaching a problem. Are they thinking through? Are they taking a pause? Or are they jumping in and then able to evaluate risk? Or are they person who evaluate risk? Every word, every move, every initiative is measured through. Okay. Different people have different ways to solve problem because their brain style is like that. Okay, there are 8 combination of brain styles, right? People will be left driven, or it's a combination of left and right, or right driven, it's a combination of right dominating the left, or it's a midbrain activity. But essentially, for you to be in that linear scale, there are a lot of combination which is working. And when we talk about brain skills, I'll give you a link at the end of the episode where you can register to a masterclass. That is where we will open up the brain style reports to let you know that what combinations really work and where do you fit in. Out of the 8 combinations, where do you see yourself? Okay, it'll be a very interesting topic. Just hang on with that. But essentially, principally, what we are covering is under each brain style, there are 18 talents, 9 in the left and 9 in the right. Now, out of that, which one are your talents? Which skill are you most talented in? And when we talk about skills or talent, it essentially means, we are only exercising those part which enables our brain. uh, Emotional competencies or skill is of 8 skills that we will primarily notice. Okay, we will start working towards that. And there is an article format that I keep writing explaining all how these 8 skills become functional in our life in a very storified format. Over here, what we are doing is technically we are driving those 18 brain talents in a way that we can take this as an actionable tips and start working on it. Okay. On that note, I had given you the format that we will deep dive into definition, pros and cons, applicability, because you know where to apply and how is it helping you. Without having that understanding, you are not convinced. Maybe your brain style is such that. Okay. I know a lot of people are watching me. There are people who are watching this, and if you are online, just give me a thumbs up or let me know. I'll be more than happy to know that you are watching me online. Okay. All right. Now you see the brain different colored because the right brain indicates this and the left brain indicates this. Okay. Now, what does it mean for proactiveness? Understanding proactive. The definition of EQ proactiveness is taking control of actions and decisions rather than reacting to circumstances. Okay. This is this is more of a Google search definition to let you relate it very quickly. Now, in this, there are two parts. One is planning, and another one is action. How can somebody say you are proactive, or how can you measure yourself being proactive? Only when you solve a problem, or when you take an action. Now, before taking an action, you'd have thought through. That's all it is. Okay. So the first element is to plan, then problem solve. Always remember these two are keywords. But how are we going to approach this is something there could be a lot of ways that you can discuss. But essentially, being proactive means you should have thought through planning and then acting on it. Okay. Benefits of being proactive. You have a greater control. You can shape up your outcomes rather than reacting. You don't give your control to external event or external people, right? And your productivity is getting increased. You're becoming efficient in the way of planning really well and acting ahead of environment around you. Suppose you are standing in first in the queue. How do you feel, right? You're waiting for a bus or something that you're waiting in the queue and you're able to reach there first. We all feel good, and it is an advantage. Okay, and it's going to reduce stress. Anticipating problems and taking early actions minimize the stress. It is definitely improving decision making. The reason why we are seeing problem solving, critical thinking, proactiveness is all leading you to become an effective decision maker, which is a very important skill in emotional intelligence. Okay. So proactive individuals are more confident in their choices and make better decisions. Some more advantages is improved confidence and more opportunities. If you are in the front, you grab your opportunity and you're going to create new opportunity by taking a lead in the situations. It is not just like you go, you know, find your spot, chasing, bashing everybody and not able to, think through. That is not proactivity. Okay. You must have thought through the consequences. You should know the answers. For you to, raise your hands in the class, it's not just being proactive. At the end of the day, if you don't have the correct answer, then it is not being proactive. Okay, it is just a rush, impulsive reaction. Now, potential drawbacks. It is important to know what happens when you overuse this also. So in the series, we won't see the cons as con like disadvantage. There is no disadvantage for a skill, correct? For a talent, because talent is there to help you become more efficient in that area. But what if you overuse this talent or a skill? Then it is a problem. That is what we will see. One, it is time consuming because planning requires time, energy investment. If you keep on thinking and planning only and not taking action, you're not, being proactive. But for you to become perfect and correct, for you to take action, if you keep dwelling on planning, it is only delaying your action items. Risk of burnout. Constantly staying ahead may lead to emotional fatigue also. So proactiveness is not just standing first in the queue. It's not that literal example. It is taking charge of your life, intentional choices. Were you able to make smart choices for your life, suiting your needs and wants, your family needs and wants, your goals in life, not competing with others, not going with the ride of what is happening outside. Otherwise, it will lead you to burnout because constantly, if you are working in the form of being proactive with that, then it will only lead you to fatigue. And then overthinking sometimes may fall into the trap of excessive planning also. Okay. This is all a step towards burnout, and burnout is not good for health or relationship within you or outside you. Okay, it's not at all fun stage. And it takes a lot of time to overcome the burnout and come back, bounce back in a normalcy. Frustration. Setbacks can be frustrating even for proactive individuals. So it could be so that setbacks it doesn't announce. Life adversities cannot be announced, but it would have given us cues, right? Setbacks doesn't happen overnight. Huh? It would, sometimes life like, death or something more grief that happens, that also I would say it's the indication of life. If you are aware, if we are able to be aware of what is happening, right? Of course, we cannot expect somebody's death date, right? That I'm saying death is a very intensive and very classic example. But rest of the adversities can still be managed. It's just that you're not aware of that cue. And of course, there are setbacks where it is not in our control. For example, pandemic, right? Like like death in life, pandemic is almost a death for a lot of people in the world. And pandemic is not something we have gone through earlier. It's totally new. And over a weekend, everything, in fact, that again is not a weekend thing. It was existing 2, 3 months. The world has been given a lot of cues and symptoms and a lot of awareness, a lot of news have been spreaded. But then it is not in control because it is a huge numbers and setback is for the entire world, right? So these things are classic examples which are not in your control. Think about life. Are we only firefighting this way? No, not pandemics after pandemics in everyday life. There is not going to be death after death every day. We're all living, and while living, the intensity of certain things can still be managed if only we are aware of it. And over and above, whichever is not in our control, maybe it's not because of us, it's because of somebody or some other, for example, infection. Okay, how can you blame yourself? Of course, you can, prevent it to become more intensified, or maybe take preventive measures like wearing mask or wiping your hands really well and taking that measures alone. But once infected, you just have to take that as a thing and just act on it. There is nothing that you can plan about it. Okay, but would you just keep quiet just because there is an infection happen which is not in your control? We take medicines. That is a proactive measure to prevent it going to extreme or prevent it to happen next time when it is going to happen, because again infection is seasonal. We don't know from where we are getting, and we are just going to go back to the same medicine or go back to the doctor as a preventive measure. That is proactiveness, right? Why we are doing this? Because it is serving us in terms of health. Similarly, there are many things we do take care of it as a homemaker, as a parent, as a person who's multiple juggling multiple responsibility. But are we applying that with full awareness? Are we using the mastery experiences or awareness that information available with us and be able to plan ahead? That is the whole thing. The measure for you, not, I mean, the number of decisions that you take, number of choices that we take in a day is humongous. Like, the survey says about 3,000 and, over and above 3,000 decisions that we are taking in a normal day. So imagine there are so many things, like even for a coffee, tea in the morning, there's a lot of choice. What kind of dress we are wearing, which tie we are choosing, which shoes we are choosing, which route we are taking. There's so many things we keep on, it is going auto suggestion in our mind, autopilot in our mind. And if you're a parent handling toddler or too many children, it is bound to happen. But please make sure that we are not overdoing that. Although we are talented already being proactive, because your responsibility will make you become proactive. Unless and until you function that way, then it becomes efficient for you. But remember, anything overdone will lead you to burnout in terms of time, energy, and emotions. Okay. Now the need for proactivity. Okay. I'm just going to let you know what happens if you don't have it. We end up in reactive approach. That means life is anyway throwing snowball after snowball. And then you're going to feel powerless because you're scrambling to them to catch hold of them, right? We have so many things going on in our life, school schedules. If you miss the bus, then it'll be a different transportation mode. Or if you miss to give the lunch box, it's a different thing. We'll get into the guilt ride, or sometimes we might have to extend our time dropping it. It's the same thing. If you miss a call, then you might have been missing maybe a big opportunity. If you're missing a call with your client, or if you're missing skipping a day, in at your home or at your office, then it is only going to pile up. It's the same with emotion. Suppose you're not being able to address emotions happening within you or happening, outside within your spouse or with your family, it'll only pile up. And what about your health? Suppose we are not able to take care of our health, okay? It'll explode one day. That'll be it'll be an adversity. So all these will, lead you. Instead of you taking a control on the external thing, that is going to take a control if you are in the reactive approach. Now, what happens when you are in a proactive approach? Taking charge of your life becomes easy because you are making intentional choices that is only going to lead towards your goal and gives you a sense of balance. Okay. Imagine you as a captain of a ship. You are going to chart your own course. You will decide which direction to go because you know where the tides are, turns are, and accordingly, you're navigating those challenges, making strategic moves. That is what is going to bring you closer to your desired destination. Always remember, when you are in proactive approach, you're like a captain of the ship. You are deciding. Okay? Right. Now, researchers says that proactive individuals are 34% more likely to achieve their goals compared to those who take more reactive approach. This is because they are actively working towards their aspirations rather than waiting for opportunities to come to them. Proactive Proactivity empowers individuals to take control of their lives and create a future they desire. All right. Now imagine you are a reactive mom and there is another person who is a proactive mom. Okay, let's see the difference. Now, this reactive mom will feel overwhelmed by household duties, waiting for tasks to pile up. Sometimes, if you don't, I always have this habit of cleaning up my kitchen before going to sleep. Whether it is 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, or early sleep, I'll make sure I clean the kitchen. You know why? Because I will be the one who will go into the kitchen tomorrow morning. And when I look at kitchen being the sink being full or kitchen is it's not made up. It's like how we are making up our bed, right? I won't feel like working, cooking. Now that is going to pile up in my emotional level, and it is only going to delay my activity. So simple thing. It's a single transaction, and it's become a routine in me. It's the same way about anything in around us. It'll anyway pile up. But are we going to use the same modality in every other thing? Definitely it'll work. But how much do we have awareness towards that? And how much are we planning towards it? Right? Not everything you can plan because we just spoke, it becomes too, fatigue. But how are we going to stop the reaction in us? So that is where you're going to choose which part of life is making you more reactive. That is where you have to apply. If morning schedules are important, it is highly sensitive. For a mom, morning schedules are highly sensitive and the bedtime schedules, correct? Because it is important to prepare for the next day. And if the child is not cooperating, you will anyway pile up. And it is going to, the heat is both on you and the child and the family around you, right? So this person waits for things to happen and she often reacts to situation with frustration and anger because of simple thing that it is getting piled up. So she might wait till the last minute to pack lunch or resulting in a rushed and stressful morning routine. A classic example is suppose right after you wake up, you end up watching. I've done that mistake too. That is why I'm saying. And my everybody are doing this. If you are one, just watch it out. Early in the morning, especially sleeping late night and then waking up early, it's a task, it's a conflict you know, within a person like me. So by the time I go and watch mobile, it is not necessary for any YouTube videos, but at least messages, okay? I immediately lose time. And then I go rush on certain things and it doesn't work well. I only take that emotion out. And that is passing on to the child or the family members outside, creating a stressful moment. Simple thing like watching the mobile, it may be anything, as long as it is not pressing and it's not emergency. An emergency cannot happen every day. Okay. So, having said this, if you have this simple habit, that is ruining the proactivity there. Even if you are a person who had planned it earlier, that simple habit can ruin it. It's the same thing with the child, right? We expect the child to be proactive, to be on time, and all that. Suppose the child, after waking up, just like that, keeps talking or keeps, playing with a toy, he or she is going to lose time. So, planning ahead and keeping a routine for morning is essential for efficiency, not getting into reactive approach. Okay. So this approach being reactive, leading to constant firefighting only, addressing problems as they arise. And you can be impromptu, spontaneity will definitely infuse a lot of creativity, sparks, but it is very fatigue. It is very tiring. You just cannot act impromptu all the time. You need planning, especially for all these set routines. There has to be a planning because these routines are not going to change, right? So this can create instability and uncertainty in the children also because they don't know what to expect out of their parents. This behavior this pattern is going to be passed on to the children also. Now, for a proactive mom, she's going to plan her day advance, anticipates challenges, and she's going to create some solutions, whatever is smoother for her life. Okay, what her family needs. She's going to understand the importance of structured routine and clear expectation setting because it is important. She might pack the lunch the night before or ensure a calmer morning routine, right? It can be anything, maybe cutting vegetables earlier or weekly schedules or splitting the schedules accordingly and even informing the children who's going to take care of all this because in this part of the world all these are important. It is not it may be new for Indian families where there are support system is available, but if you're a nuclear family and whichever part of the world, especially over here, it is everything is by appointments and even the school bus comes on time, hardly 1 or 2 minutes, but when it is scheduled, it is there. So with such kind of you know what do you call it? That kind of mentality, people while they are driving towards their planned activity, it is important to keep up that. And we all eventually have to align because once you miss the schedule, it is only going to pile up. So best that we have this approach where you allow the mom allows herself to manage time efficiently, leading to more a relaxed and enjoyable family dynamic. Okay. She's going to also teach the children the importance of planning, problem solving, and taking ownership of their actions. Very, very important. Okay. There are many times I have done mistake, but I've taken ownership of that mistake and immediately corrected because my child is looking at me. And when we want to establish some routine, it is easier for the child to understand, okay, we don't the mom we don't want to stress her out, or it is important that we also don't get lashed out in the morning. So it's two way, it works wonderfully well. Now, who's going to benefit? As I told you, parents, high stake professionals, because in an organization, you just cannot impromptu take a decision because when people are dependent on you and the organization dependent, and you are dependent on the organization policy and all that, it is best that we take an proactive approach. Right. Now, all right. Then entrepreneurs. Taking initiative in business decisions and planning is equally important. Now tell me, how many of you as an entrepreneur are you dare to say that you are an adventure person and 1 second, let me just assume that. Okay. How many of you here, just for the sake of recording, I'm just going to quickly um, share my screen and go through this need no thing. Okay, so we started off with the day 20, and we went through the definition, planning, problem solving, benefits of being proactive, more advantages of being proactive, and potential drawbacks when you're overusing the skill. We saw an example of need for proactivity. And then we also saw how proactive and reactive person will be. Okay, a mom who's proactive and reactive. And then right now we are seeing who's benefited. Now, how many of you here are entrepreneurs? Of course, the parents need it. We just saw an example. And high stake professionals also abiding by rules and regulations. They just cannot be impromptu all the time. Sometimes during an adventure, sometimes the gut feeling works. But then there is no need for a gut or intuition when we are in a structured environment. Okay, that is the whole difference. Now, as an entrepreneur, is very dynamic. If it's a professional, there is a set of rules and regulations. But as an entrepreneur, we depend on many other moving parts like market dynamics, government regulations, client expectations, competitors, and the trends, technology disruptions. So many things that we have to take care of it, including our long-term goals and the team who, people are dependent on us and the team. So now tell me, do you would you prefer being proactive or sometimes take your gut feeling? Okay, that's a question for you to reflect on it. Okay, applying proactivity in personal life, where can you apply? One is household management. Second thing is personal goals, where you can set actively pursuable goals and breaking down that larger goals into manageable goals, and you're going to take a progress of it. Only then you can proactively take measures for the risk aligned. You know where when you will have the setback, you can prevent that. And meal planning, okay, this may look like a mundane transaction. You know how much of decision making, how much of energy and time is spent there, if not time, that the focus and energy for you to decide, right? I have many times gone to fatigue mode because again, in this part of the world there is no support system and you just cannot outsource many things, right? And we are not a Swiggy people. Of course, Swiggy is itself is not here. Uber is there, but we're not a Uber Eat people at all. We prefer family food. On that note, while I have to align with the family value and for health and nutrition, but somebody has to start planning and cooking, right? Of course, we share our responsibilities. He's a great cook for that matter, but then decisions have to be taken constantly for 3 meals, even if it's 3 people or 6 people in the family, that has to go on. And of course, we have to plan our weekly grocery shoppings and all that. So we've decided to keep everything weekly, because in the midst of that time, so we went through all this exploration to understand which one suits our time and energy, and we made some routines. Unless the routine is set, it is not a clear cut idea for anybody to function, whether it is the parent or the child also, because child also cannot know what to expect. It'd be very chaotic. Okay, so meal planning is just not a thing. Okay, it demands a lot of energy in it, thinking, thought through in it. Okay, yeah, and you have to make sure the groceries in the fridge is getting complete also. Otherwise, the mom will go for a guilt ride, and there will be, a lot of things which will pile up, and it'll go for a waste. Okay, and then comes fitness and health. We have seen this in the previous episodes also, where without a proactive approach, without thoughtful decisions as to what fits you better in terms of nutrition, in terms of exercise, in terms of diet plan, it may not be the same for your family, right? So you need to figure out which one suits you better. It may not be the same like your friend, because body is different and two fingers are not same. So definitely meal planning and food, anything related to fitness and health and nutrition has to be a proactive approach, so that you keep everything ready, you plan, you know what to have. Then rather than meeting the consequences and feeling guilt about not being able to lose weight or gain weight and all that. Time management, it is essential. Without time management skills, proactivity is not a thing. You need to get that sense of time. And that is why we see a lot of difference between the child and the adult. Because for the child in the elementary schooling time, they don't get the sensation of time. They don't understand the importance. They don't, that concept is still not come in their mind. So it is through routine. It is through, giving them responsibilities. So life teaches, that is one thing. But then how are we going to prevent those things which is not in our control? It is important that we take certain things, we take that ownership and start working on it before we get into any adversity mode. Okay. Now, proactive in professional life. How do we be proactive in that? Maybe you plan your career well itself, because if your long-term goal is very clear, over here, I think even in India we do this. But I think by the end of ninth or tenth itself, that child is very clear whether they're going to take a science stream or commerce stream. Accordingly, they will decipher their career line. Over here, in the end of eighth grade itself, the child is given a 4-year plan. The child and parent are given the 4-year plan by their counselors. So by then, they are choosing their long-term goals. Nobody will know the perfect thing, right? That particular decision can be an evolving decision even when the child has come to a high grade, 11th and 12th also, because that's how proactive people are here, and that is how it helps us. So planning your long-term goals and creating plans accordingly, working reverse will always help. Skill development, continuously learning and improving professional ability, it's a constant thing, because there is a huge technology disruption happening, and it is fast paced, and social media is invading everywhere. You have to be constantly upgraded and upbeated. Not to forget that we don't overdo this. It is only to make sure that we are aligning to our long-term goals. Whatever is needed to align to our goals, that clarity should be there. Only then this proactiveness will definitely be a proactiveness. At the end of the day, you will feel, wow, we made it, because it is aligned to what we actually need. And then leadership skills, seeking out opportunities to take on more responsibilities. For that, you need proactive measures. Even in company, right? In organization, we do a performance appraisal, and it is divided into 3-4 parts in a year. It is not something we are doing directly in the annual, the end of that. We would have started with planning, and then mid-year review, and then we keep taking a progress of it. Why? We want to be proactive. Whatever responsibility, suppose a new client come in, you just cannot say, I've already planned with only this client, right? Proactive people will be able to take more responsibilities because they have the hold of the control of their choices, how they approach their own talents, strength and weakness, their team morale and strength and weakness. They know their capacity, and they have the time management skills. They know how to manage it well. Okay. Networking, building relationship within colleagues and professionals in your field is also important. So by being proactive, you don't have to take, sometimes you will not know and you will go like this, right? Sometimes there are certain things which is not in our awareness also at all. So I still remember when, 8 years back, right? I was working in a company, and it was a very critical situation, that critical position, and where I was the individual contributor, and I had a particular team to handle and report. Now this review is happening, and then one of the measures, and my senior director, he suggested, if you want to activate your what do you call some policies that we were working on. And he says, if you want to really activate this thought process in this company, then I would need more information about how people are doing in other company. I'm talking about, you know, I was uh, I was pretty active in that company, and then it was even more before all that LinkedIn happening, because through LinkedIn and all, we used to do passive recruiting. I'm talking about those ages where LinkedIn was pretty new, and not many of us know. So people who took advantage of passive recruitment modalities like LinkedIn and all, they they stood out. They stood out in the market. So that was those times which was very earlier to all these social media platforms. So we were dwelling upon some policy making, and he asked me simply to just go out, reach out to other companies and get to know their policies. It was not possible, right? No company will open up. And then there is a point of networking happening. So I'm talking about very early stages where networking itself is a new word within the company, right? Of course, for business within business, if you're an entrepreneur, networking becomes a norm, right? But within organization, you are leading a very small team, and you don't need a big network for that matter. Even then, it was instilled. That is the reason those people are proactive. They think 10 steps beyond. Okay. That is how innovation happens. And for you to be able to do something big, you need to have these components working for you. Problem solving. Obviously, we're all working towards the end section of this proactivity is what? The end outcome is to solve a problem or take action. Now about actionable tips. The first step is to plan ahead. How are you going to do this is daily review. You're going to spend few minutes checking each morning, reviewing your task and potential roadblocks. If you do this, you're going to save a lot of energy and time. Okay. And it is not going to take much of your time. Either you do this on the morning or even the previous night itself. Your to-do task can be ready in the previous night itself. That itself will save you a lot of time, and it gives you a direction by the time you wake up. Weekly planning. Set aside time, plan to be your week and anticipate challenges. And then goal setting. Regularly review, adjust your short-term and long-term goals because you need to know whether you are in right direction. Sometimes you need to be aware of the roadblocks or aware of your own pitfalls, right? You need to balance it out. You need to be adaptive, take a review from others, receive the feedback and act on it, change it wherever it's required. Only then you are becoming proactive. If you're rigid, is it proactiveness? No, it's going to give you the same results. The next one is taking ownership. How do you do that? First of all, you're recognizing the control, whether it is in you or not. How can you take that control in your hands? Understanding that you have control over your actions and outcomes is very important. But there are items in life, there are tasks in life which may not be in your control. I gave you examples like extreme examples like pandemic or death of somebody. Nobody has control on that. But not everything is like that, intensified. There are many things that you can take control. And how people have become successful in what they're doing. Day in and day out, they've been working on the same expertise on themselves also. That is how they took control. That is how things were fallen into their control. So it is equally important to understand that. And you're going to avoid the blame. Instead of blaming the external factors, you're going to focus on what you can change, right? With optimism as a skill, we will be discussing optimism, how to raise your optimism, right? We are covering, by the way, 100 topics. We are just on day 20. Okay, 20% of the task only is gotten over. There are 80% of emotional intelligence skills is still left for us to even beyond that, but we have taken uh, control of 100 days within us. Let's see how we can inculcate all those skills, very important skills within this 100 days itself. So one important thing is instead of blaming that external factors, how you can create possibilities and possible options, even if it is not in your control. Okay, you just go deep dive, think through, and then you bash through the way. Okay, learn from mistakes. Even pandemic, did people take that in control or not? Or did the government take it control or not? Did the healthcare people took control or not? Did we not take it control? Right? Within yourself, just ask yourself, were you not in control? Even though the outside situations were like that, where while you were avoiding the external, the bigger fact of it, but within you, you were in control. So that's all is proactiveness. Okay. And learning from mistakes also. Right now, are we prepared for pandemic or not? Any kind of pandemic. Of course, different angles of pandemics are coming in. Earlier, it was through a virus. Right now, it is mental health. Okay. For that, we need to be prepared. We have to be proactively understanding the cues. It's not sometimes when I, I had burnout twice in the last 8, 9 years. even the second time when it happened to me, it didn't give me, what do you call it? It didn't occur to me because I kind of, I was in the heat of the situation and I missed to see the cues. The first time it was point blank. I mean, I didn't understand what's going on. And the second time, although I was conscious, I didn't know how to take control. So this time, there will be no burnout. That much is very clear. And I'm also teaching the same thing for others. You know, you touching that and coming out is not a fun place. So it's better we'll be proactive, not to reach there itself. Okay. Setting clear expectation is also something that we have to take care, because it is equally important how we are very specific in what we want, measurable and time bound. How many of you here know about SMART goals? If you are wondering what is SMART goals, you just type in Google and then it'll give you definition of it: specific, measurable, realistic, actionable, and time bound. Okay. If your goals are driven by SMART goals, then your decisions will definitely become smart. And the definition or the metrics for SMART is given in Google. Many people would have explained this modality. You can go through that. All right. The next one is flexibility and adaptability. Now that you have your SMART goals, now that you know it is important, but you just cannot be rigid. When something life throws, you need to be flexible, you need to be open, you need to have a backup plan, and only then you can adapt. All moms do have backup plan, at least if they are parent. Right? Touch your heart and say, if you're a parent, you're watching, don't you have a backup plan? You do, right? Similarly, for family, we will definitely have a backup plan. We don't want to get into adversities, especially for financial planning or long-term investment in terms of any home improvements, or even for children education and their growth. So we do have this kind of a backup plan. But are we doing it for even the morning routine, right? Why are we not able to think through a backup plan in the morning routine? It is very much possible. Once it is a routine, fine. But what if something strikes off? You need to be quickly agile to think through and get ahead with that, with that nature of transaction. But for which you need to continuously learn. And anticipating problems and creating solutions also is one of the skill. If you can think through, identify the potential risk. When you're dealing with people, you exactly know you should have that emotional insight to know their likes, dislikes, their patterns, their habits. If you're a parent, you can easily anticipate. You know that kid will eventually, if they're playing, they know if they are very bumpy and all that, they will come with certain things. But you know about a particular child who is very smart in terms of handling themselves. You don't need a backup plan for them, right? This is proactiveness. Another way is to take a brainstorming solutions. Consider the multiple angles. That will help you avoid the pitfalls, whatever you are not aware of it. Preparing resources accordingly. Okay. You, now that you know potential risk is happening, would you not prepare a resource accordingly? Maybe it is for, in terms of money, keeping the budget, contingency plan, or time, energy, focus. Some preparation is required. Okay. Taking small steps. Remember, everything will lead you. So I love this picture because it says so many things. I mean, the spelling alone, it is okay. The skills are very, very misspelled here. But then the thing is, it is always one single step at a time. Only then you can reduce the complexity. Otherwise, proactiveness will not work, or any skill for that matter will not work. So breaking down goals is very important. Breaking down in actionable, manageable, smaller task, and then you're able to take actions consistent basis. And celebrating success. So celebrating progress, success is not meaning once you attain, let's say, your income goal, then only you're going to celebrate. No, because that is going to be myth. There is no particular there is no date. By the time you want to celebrate, you won't be in a mood to celebrate. That is the reason you are going to celebrate the progress. As and when you hit smaller goals, by the time every day is a progress, right? You're taking steps. As and when you complete one step, you try to acknowledge yourself. Not necessarily that you have to spend your time and money on it, but acknowledging itself is celebrating. And acknowledge the wins of people around you. Celebrate people. Okay. This is an interesting part. This is where you will know about who are those people who are actually using these skills. And my favorite example is Serena Williams. How many of you here have watched? There are two movies on them. Okay, King Richard and about Venus and Serena itself. So it was a wonderful movie to know how these athletics, right? They are just not sports person. They were working for Olympics and they were working for a championship, right? These, especially Serena, has been consistent champion. How is it even possible for somebody to maintain that, sustain that amount of competitiveness, right? This is just not a sport where it is played in a street and it is not recognized. It is worldwide. How is it possible for a woman? Right now, she's a parent. How she's able to maintain that? So it was very intriguing to watch that movie. I would highly recommend you to do so. So in her earlier career, she recognized the importance of physical and mental preparation. That is the first thing struck me off. So how resilient can they be? Even adversity happens. If you watch King Richard, you will know how life were very tough till they hit one plateau. Very tough. How do they manage to maintain the family values at the same time they're very skilled, they're excellent in academics, and at the same time their passion, also working everything together and becoming successful, right? It's a team collaborative effort, and there's a lot of ups and downs, and they have to be physically, mentally tough. So this included rigorous training regimes, personalized nutrition plan, working with the sports psychologists for mental resilience. Very important. All these areas they were proactively be able to be aware and build their strength in it. Suppose they just dismiss the mental toughness or physical toughness, physical health and nutrition, they're not going to sustain in the grounds. They have to be constantly taking care, despite they were very poor and they didn't have money. And in fact, they were siblings of six people, five, six children. So how did they even manage to do all that? Very highly intrigued movie it is, and their case study itself is it's a nice thing to relate. And then ongoing success, right? Constantly anticipated challenges and developed strategies to overcome them. Serena actively studied their opponents' play, their styles, and practiced different forms and types. And they also collaborated with her coaches to refine their strategies also. It is not that they were very rigid, they were open to learn from their coaches in order to stay upbeat. And future planning, proactively managing fitness, recovery, planned life, for life after tennis also. Very nice. She made conscious decisions about her training and nutrition plan to prevent injuries, prioritize recovery, and explore business ventures outside tennis. Just can't tell you how much, how many multiple roles this lady is playing. She even recently had introduced a business venture. Right? She's preparing a lot of products under her brand and having two kids. She has two girls. So, what does it say? The emotional impact of proactivity is confidence, taking control, boost self assurance, and improvement. Empowerment, reduce the anxiety, anticipating, preparing for challenges, minimizing stress, and the sense of purpose. Proactive goal setting provides direction and motivation. Absolutely. Now, you may have this question: where am I standing here? Okay, as usual, I will help you give you the necessary quiz bundles along with tips for all these headings. Okay, so from this skill, what we will do is we will not only give you the scores, like you can choose the best answer, whatever you can assess where you are. Along with that, we will also give you tips about planning, ownership, goal setting, confidence building, growth mindset, resilience, adaptability, problem solving, consistency. Under each headline, you will find some tips also. So you will get your scores based on the quiz that you answer. A personalized report will be given to you. A very small, short summary will be given to you. Along with that, there are tips which is going to come to you. Okay. So if you want that, you got to earn by putting down your comments and then you're going to engage and win it. If you are able to engage with this episode, whatever you've learned, and share your top 3 insights as comments below. If you have not yet subscribed to my channel, please do that. YouTube Live, and then there is a Spotify coming, so please subscribe to my Spotify, where there also you can comment. And there is a Substack coming to you as an article format. So subscribe to my Substack, where you will see EQ scales coming on to you like a storyfied format. What happens in the Indian mom setup. Okay. So if you want to win the awareness quiz bundles, I want you to go to any of these platforms and put your comments there. I'll give you 100% free coupon where you can access this immediately. Okay. You just apply wherever you see the cost underneath, there'll be a coupon asked for you. Just apply the coupon and you will get it for free. Apart from this, if you want to learn more in deep about proactivity or any skills that we have been discussing, I'm also extending an invite for masterclass, which is free for only for women, where we are inviting and teaching you the secrets of how to approach your brain skills, brain talents in nutshell. So in 90 minutes, I will not only give you the secrets, I will also give you a glimpse about how your report will look like. Okay. Even though you've not taken the report for the masterclass, I'll tell you how it looks like. And then if you want to, take your report, I'll tell you what is the way about. Okay. But it'll be a very interesting topic where I'll open up all different brain styles. You will come to know how people are, with this brain style communicate and what are their behavioral styles and all of that. It'll be very interesting topic. Now, with this, what I'm saying is you have resources to apply. You have awareness quiz. Immediately you can access it. You're just going to share your top insights and then win that coupon code. And I'm also guiding you through a detailed masterclass. Okay. Having said this, you're going to act on it. So I can only show you the point, but you need to apply the skills. And the best way is whatever you learn today, apply that within 24 hours. It will instill in your memory so that it will come to your rescue whenever it is needed. So what you're going to do is you're going to reflect, assess your current level of proactivity, and then you're going to plan, accept the fact how much you are already planned and you're not. Then you can accordingly set clear goals and actionable strategies. And the best part is you have to act on it. If you don't take consistent steps towards proactivity, then it will not become a lifestyle for you. Then you will pick up only when it is needed and it will not come to your rescue. It has to be a continuous effort. Okay. Now, I hope you understood the importance of proactivity. Tomorrow and day after, I mean, continuously, um, in all these 100 days, we will go deep dive into a particular talent, wider, deeper, in all dimensions. You as a proactivity, as a parent, as a professional, as an entrepreneur, as a leader. Okay. We will dwell into it. But the thing that you have to do is whatever you've learned, instill that learning in your lifestyle by, making a comment on the, episode, each and every episode, just put your learnings there. And if somebody else sees your comment, it will be an inspiration for them too. Okay. Until I see you tomorrow, stay proactive, stay resilient, and stay